Hello, my lovely and beautiful people, ladies and gentlemen. Have I got a show for you today? Alright, so as we are coming on, I wish I could finish Isaiah last night, but we did not, and it's okay because I'm just going to finish it out today, and I have a very short portion for you. And to make it a little bit more fun and exciting, I'll tell you something because I wasn't planning on doing this. I know I wanted to, but I was a little bit shy and a little bit scared because I wasn't 100% certain in myself that, what I was doing would be received well. All right, I believe myself. I know what's going on, but I didn't know how the perception would be. But I can speak very fluent in tongues and spirit. It's like the language of the spirit. And it's what can be communicated subconsciously if it was vocalized. It's like what our head communication sounds like to angels, to spirit, coming out through the vocal cords. And this was the language before the Tower of Babel, right? When everybody was communicating together, or when people have the tongues of fire and flames on their heads. This is the language that people, it's like the universal language people used to understand each other in the past. And still today, it's still used as a spiritual ex- uh, exercise, right? And people use this. I think that it will sound a little bit differently than how people do it in church because they're using like certain phrases and stuff that are like super powerful, but it can also be used for casual communication, and it can also be used for just reading. So what happens to me is I have to be triggered to use it, or I have to be in a certain state of consciousness to be able to just speak it, as I would talking to spirit. Like it's like it has to be in spirit. So I have to be triggered to be using it. Sometimes I'll mutter under my breath if I'm triggered. I'll say whatever I need to say. And something to always remember, it's a language of light and love. So it's like you can't. So when I get upset, I'll speak in tongues to myself because I know that my response through that language will always be positive. Instead of cursing and instead of like, wishing ill on that person, I'll speak in tongues because I know that whatever message I'm trying to get across will get across to the other person in the most light way. So, one thing that I say a lot, and this is what gave me the confidence to go out here and speak this, um, was Selah. I'll say Selah all the time. Selah, Selah, Selah. It's mostly when I get embarrassed. And I just saw somebody on social media comment Selah. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, how? Like, what is that? What is that? Because I say that a lot. And I wanted to know what it is. Selah, I guess it kind of means like pause. And it's after, it was something that David, when he was writing his music, David would use Selah at the end of the verse. And it usually means like pause, reflect, right? Take things deeper. It means that. And I would say it all the time. So this is the thing with the tongues. I'm aware of what I'm saying emotionally, but if I were to like translate every word for you, I wouldn't be able to do so. Lila, like if I use a lot of Lila, that's like Lord, right? That's Lord. I know that. Selah, we know what that means. You may or may not hear that because that's more of like a exclamatory. I say it as an exclamatory statement. But what I'll be doing, I can't, like I said, I have to be triggered to speak in tongues, but I guess, Spirit had told me I can read, I can read like I would be reading. And just to give you a little preface of what this will sound like, it's a language that sounds like all of the languages, basically. It's what all the different languages come from. So it sounds like all of the language is going to sound a lot like running water, like it just doesn't stop. There's not a lot of pauses because we, as humans, we speak like very rhythmically and things like that. This is just kind of like more fluid, as you can say. Now I'm nervous. Now I'm nervous. But what we will be reading today is Isaiah part 4. So I'm just going to let the language come out and I'll be reading this and then I'll read it in English. But it's very short, so I think that would be something that we can do. And like I said, you can do it formally and you can do it casually. So we'll get into it. Okay. So, Oi anna sito ba ila lira and chialala. Lishone ba sila doke tata. Yona ba le shoto ba le sa tu. Ino ba ya sa tu la le shoto ba ashu shaha. Yana on the ba sa ufa la le he ho le na kan saya yo lo ho ba. So le ba ni o ji sala le zu de le ba anda ba. Sude in the rua a shi hale ho anda ba. Yala kan tu ba. Silo in the fiole a shi hon ba a shi la. Yanda ba ya shududo ya ba ba in cholele. Kan shi ba le shola fuya la. Selo mbaya sola mbaya. Sele onda vaya yola sunabia ashishi. Aleleno insana ba yola ke shintaya indavia shele the boy ishi. Dobe elele nuya indavia hosya hina. Siena bana and shola ya ha hindoba. Indicala insha the badia yala yanaba bidikonda e. Yala daba isala de elene no baya diala ba. Sholele and dia kahla sielaba. So boom, that was the whole thing. That was the whole thing. I know it's a short verse, but that was the whole thing. And that sounded like, it's very powerful, right? It's very powerful. It sounds a lot to me like Cantonese, like a little bit like with the short vowels and the certain consonants. Yeah, consonants. And then I wanted to try to speak it like a little bit casually, but spirit has me shaking. But I can speak it casually, to spirit around, and it's fun. But I have to be in the right mind state. I don't just do it just for funsies, but when I'm like really feeling it, we can have conversations. The Bible sounds intense reading it like that. Like that sounds like very powerful, and I like it. So let's read it in English. Let's get back, and I'll read it in English, and we will go over it. Like if you ask me like what word was what, I will not be able to tell you because it's purely just emotion that's coming through. So I hope you felt that, and we are going to play around with the tongues a little bit more, and we are going to be doing more, maybe reading and experimenting with the tongues and the first language, if you will. So Isaiah part 4 is line 62. We start with, I have posted watchmen on your walls, Jerusalem. They will never be silent, day or night. You who call on the Lord, give yourselves no rest. And give him no rest till he establishes Jerusalem and makes her the praise of the earth. I will tell of the kindness of the Lord, he deeds for which he is to be praised, according to all the Lord has done for us. Yes, the many good things he has done for Israel, according to his compassion and many kindnesses. Why, Lord, do you make us wander from your ways and harden our hearts so we do not revere you? Return for the sake of your servants. The tribes of that are your inheritance. No one calls on your name or strives to lay a hold of you. For you have hidden your face from us and have given us over to your sins. See, it stands written before me. I will not keep silent, but I will pay back in full. I will pay it back into their laps, both your sins and the sins of your ancestors, said the Lord. Because they burned sacrifices on the mountains and defiled me on the hills, I will measure into their laps the full payments of their former deeds. See, I will create a new heaven and a new earth. From the former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind. Before she goes into labor, she gives birth. Before the pain comes upon her, she delivers a son. Who has ever heard of such things? Who has ever seen things like this? Yet no sooner is Zion in labor than she gives birth to her children. Those who consecrate and purify themselves go into the gardens, following one who is among those who eats the flesh of pigs, rats, and other unclean things. They will meet together with the one they follow, declares the Lord. Okay. So remember I told you it kind of ends like a little sour, because you're like, what is that trying to say? But it's saying here, there are those who are consecrate and purify themselves going into the gardens, and they are following behind the ones who are unclean, right? The ones who eat the unclean things. And it's saying they will meet their end together, right? With the one they follow. So we're all in this together. I know I say that all the time, but we're all in this together, okay? There's really no separation between us. We don't need to be so disconnected. We're definitely starting to move into a place where we're starting to merge together much more and more. I shared the video on the different perspectives on how, Danny, that's the woman, the narrator, Danny is a good proponent of like making sure everything is learned, making sure everything is understood, so we can kind of merge together and bring the lessons from everybody's perspective up with us as we progress. So, we're all going to meet in the same place, and that's the thing to remember, and that's the kind of exciting party point. And we'll all be speaking and not speaking because it meant most of the communication is mental anyway. So it's a beautiful thing. And I do want to understand this a little bit more, right? Before she goes into labor, she gives birth, right? So it's almost like the hard part is done. Well, actually, no, because the birth, I guess, is the beautiful part, right? Before she goes into labor, she gives birth. So everything that ever is or ever was, all the beautiful things that are coming are already here. They've been here. The birth has happened. But now is the labor, right? Now is the work where we, raise up the child, if you will. The hard part is actually after the birth. So that makes sense. It says, before the pains come upon her, she delivers a son. So the beauty is here, right? We're already at the end. We've already won. We're already successful. We're already in love. We're already in peace. But that doesn't mean that the pains won't still be there, that we still have to suffer a little bit, and we still have to grow, and we still have to stretch, and we have to reach, and we have to transform. That's what that means. Thank you. Because, as I'm reading, I, honestly sometimes don't know what I'm talking about, but I like that we can go over these together. So who has ever heard of such things? Who has ever seen things like this, right? Because we're so used to having the cause and effect, right? We're used to putting in the work and having the end result, right? Cause and effect, cause and effect. So now maybe we can try to shift the perspective a little bit. Look at the cause, focus on the cause. It's already here, it's already done, it's already complete, we've already won, right? Now let's, go back to work. So everybody is also with us, and we can come together again. So that's a cool perspective, right? Focus on good, the end cause, focus on the end result. I think that's very common with manifestation, right? You're focusing on it already being done, and then you move back and take the baby steps that you need and go through the hard things, and you go through them with joy and with grace. So that's cool. Ich finde ein lächelbar. So it's weird, because I'm talking to you, but if I was talking to spirit, it's like I can go on and on and on and on and on. But if I'm trying to direct to you, I don't want to say the wrong thing. With love. No, I'm just kidding. So that's the beautiful thing about the language. There really is no negativity. There's gravity to it. The things have weight. The language has weight. But it can never be misconstrued. It can never be hurtful. Does that make sense? It will be weighted and heavy, but it would never be hurtful when you're using the language of light, if you will. Light, I don't know what they call it, I forget. There's a lot of words for the first language, but yes. God bless you guys. We're going to practice a little bit more, and then maybe eventually we can decode the whole language. I don't think I'd want to do that, to be quite honest, but if you want to, go for it. But let's go ahead and end it here. I have to get back to my day job. But God bless you guys. I will see you in a little bit. We're going to move on to Jeremiah next. Bye.